Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian. I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here in Western Canada. Everybody, this is an IELTS reading class. Specifically, this reading topic will be focusing on the charity topic, so giving money to charities. This reading material is coming from your academic IELTS Help website preparation materials at aehelp.com. For lots of videos, practice exams, interactive courses, and apps for your phone, visit us there, join our premium package. For the general IELTS, check us out at gieltshelp.com. Everybody, this is a members chat class. Everybody, of course, is welcome to watch. If you'd like to join the chat, please become a channel member by clicking the join button next to the subscribe button. Hi Anna, hi Fong. Welcome back to our group of members. Angel, great to have you with us today. Nice to see Carolina, our chat moderator, here with us also. Hi Redexar, hi Fong, Karem. Good to have so many students here ready to learn. Everybody, the academic IELTS website looks like this at aehelp.com. To join the premium version, just click the big red button that's right behind me. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access. We're an IDP affiliate. We're a British Council partner. We're an IELTS test registration center. I'm a British Council agent. I have sat the IELTS. I have designed the IELTS. I have taught the IELTS for nearly 20 years. We are world leaders when it comes to IELTS exams. Click that button. You can use the code PUBLIC9 for a 10% discount. It is a one-time payment for lifetime access, and the price varies depending on your country of origin to help as many students get access as possible. General IELTS, it's gieltshelp.com. It's the green background. Again, just click that big red button there, and you have all the necessary materials to get you ready for your next IELTS test. Students, we will use this website shortly for this reading material. The apps in your app stores are Academic IELTS Help and General IELTS Help. Download those apps, link them to their respective websites, aehelp.com, generalieltshelp.com, or gieltshelp.com, so that you can learn anywhere, anytime on the go. Instagram is IELTS_AEHelp and GIELTS Help. We've got lots of followers there, lots of little reels, videos for vocabulary. Also, we post our live class schedules there as well as on YouTube. By the way, on YouTube, you can also purchase our premium IELTS package through the shopping function. You can check out through Shopify. If you do that, please send me an email, adrian@aehelp.com or admin@aehelp.com, so I can activate your accounts. If you have questions about the IELTS, about English, about immigration, university applications abroad, you can also send me an email there. We're happy to answer those questions for you. We've got lots of materials on those websites, including blogs. Here's a true, false, not given strategy blog on the website for everybody. Now, let's look at the schedule. Right now, it's reading for our members, as I had just mentioned. Then, in about 2 hours, we will have listening, part 1 and part 2 for subscribers. So definitely subscribe to this channel. It's free. It's a great first step to get you going towards better English, better communication for your exam. And of course, you'll get notifications for these live classes. On Saturday, we will do speaking part 2 for members and speaking part 3 for everyone. Here's that public speaking video for you to improve your scores. Okay, everybody, so reading tips. We had a reading class just 2 days ago. We were looking at the battle for the world's tallest building. And we learned some great tips there. And the first tip, this should be a reminder for those of you who were in session this week, is just to read the title and really think for a moment about what it's saying, what kind of information it's giving you. So read the title and infer information. Like, what is this passage about? Why is it talking about this passage, or why is it talking about this topic, and how is it going to present this information? This is the second passage in your 6th exam, and here's the title. Charity, always a positive good? Question mark. Karam, Anna, Fuang, Angel, Redexar, Romelia, what do you think? So when you read this title, charity, always a positive good? What is it trying to tell you, the reader? So even before you look at questions or get into the passage paragraphs, what does that actually mean? What is the author trying to accomplish with this title? What do you think? So here, the title is Charity, always a positive good? Now, of course, when you think about these answers, what you're really doing is you're thinking about the content in the passage. And when your brain has an accurate inference about the content, then of course it's going to understand the vocabulary, the questions, the information much, much better. And it will organize it well, especially if you're using good logic. And that will certainly lead to better scores, better results. Okay, Romelia, very nice. Romelia is using actually a nice idiom here. Romelia says, charity can be a double-edged sword. Yeah, absolutely. What do you mean by that, Caroline? Or sorry, Romelia? Can you explain that with one more sentence? Like, what does that actually mean? I think you have a good idea there. Double-edged sword means it can be good or bad, right? And when we talk about charities, what does that actually mean? So Romelia says charity can be a double-edged sword. It means that the sword is sharp on both sides, so it can cut the enemy or it can cut yourself. So this idiom means can be good or bad. And I appreciate students introducing new idiomatic language or vocabulary like that. That's very good, Romelia. Absolutely. I think that's what the author's saying here, because the hidden message in the title, of course, is maybe it's not always good. Maybe sometimes charity is not a good thing. Okay, let me shrink this just a slight smidgen to fit on your screens a bit better. There we go. All right. So James says the amount of money to help the poor or the disabled. Maybe, James, it maybe has to do with the amount of money. Romelia, some people do good, but others not well see it as a means of making money. Yeah, or Karem says, the author is saying maybe trying to say that charitable donations can also have a negative effect. Karem, I like that answer as well. So Karem says, charitable donations might have a negative effect. Okay, let's take that one step further, Krem. So I think that's a clever way to interpret this title. Now, of course, we want to ask ourselves why, right? So why may donations to charity have negative effects? And here Romelia says, well, maybe some people are just in it to make some money, okay? So the purpose may have a darker, ulterior motive, like making money. I agree. Okay, so possibly. Anything else? Could there be another possible side effect or negative effect of donating money to charities? Fuang, what do you think? Redexar, what's your opinion? Engage the ideas. What do you think? What could be... So a good way to do this is to visualize. I mean, I think most of us are familiar with some charities like UNICEF, Greenpeace, and there are lots more, Red Cross, and probably many of us have heard situations where those charities didn't exactly achieve what they set out to. So Fuang says donating money can actually create poverty. Fuang, the word you're looking for instead of poorness is poverty. So yeah, so donating money may actually create more poverty. Okay. Yeah, so Romelia says the answer to that of why it can result in a dependency on donations, right? So it can lead people to not developing or not fixing the solution or the problem on their own, not finding a solution, and depending on charity for continued sustenance, right? And so it's kind of the concept of giving fish instead of teaching how to fish, right? Okay, good. So as long as you're starting to think about these ideas, that's great. So this is about where you should get to, at least in your thinking, before you read this passage. So this is the minimum that you should consider before you read the passage. Okay? Keep this in mind, viewers. I know we've got a lot of people watching, and it's important to keep in mind that in the IELTS, you do not want to try to save time by skipping the title and not giving it consideration. That is a very common mistake, okay? So some candidates, they think, oh, if I just ignore the title and just start reading, right? Some places tell students that, oh, you just don't even worry about the title, start looking at the questions, then skim read the first sentence of each paragraph. These are really bad advice for students. It's not the way the test is designed, and with these strategies, it's extremely hard, if not impossible, to get those band 7 or higher scores. Even band 6, 6.5 is quite challenging when passages are not looked at as a complete idea, okay? The complete idea is represented by the title, of course. So common IELTS mistake is skipping the title to save the time. This, in fact, will lead to more time needed, frustration, okay, and lower scores. Because there are a lot of questions that require the candidate to have a holistic, a complete understanding of that reading passage. Okay, so you need to spend that half a minute to think about, okay, what is the author trying to express with this concept? Charity, always a positive good. And then the questions, when you review them, will also make more sense, right? So now when we look at the questions, and this is reading, everybody, so let's read together. We will interact with each other soon through Zoom as well. So we look at the questions. The first question is, reading passage 1 has 5 paragraphs, A to E. Which paragraph contains the following information? So it's matching information to paragraphs. This is one of the 11 question types that you will see in the IELTS. Again, everybody, on our website, when you go to your My Student account at aehelp.com and you go to your full interactive course, you go to the reading section and you click there, you will find a description of all of the 11 kinds of reading questions that you may see. One ask I get is, how many different questions are in one IELTS exam? From what I have seen over the years, it's usually about 7 to 8 different types. I've never seen all 11 different question types on a single exam, but they change them. Sometimes you see 1, 2, 3, sometimes you see 4, 5, 6, so they kind of mix them up. It just really depends on the test. So you should be familiar with all of them, like matching information, category, table completion, and so on. So again, this is all in your course, and this number 1 here, matching information, is actually what we're looking at in this case. Okay, so again, that's in your course on the website. I'm not going to go over all 11 question types right now. That would just take way too long. But we'll certainly look at the ones in this passage. So this is the matching information. Now the matching information one, I mean, as soon as you see that, it's another strong signal for the candidate that I should not just be trying to look for keywords or skim or scan, because that strategy is highly ineffective for this type of passage, right? So the false portrayal of people in third world countries, this information might come at the end. It might be in paragraph E, and now you're skim reading the entire passage just to get the first question. So it doesn't work for these kinds of questions, okay? And when you're at home and you're practicing these, students, you definitely want to paraphrase them. We'll paraphrase a few of these together, members. So this question here, the false portrayal of people in third world countries, what is that? So try to interpret these questions. The reason you're practicing this strategy of paraphrasing or thinking about the question or the statement in your own words is because that's probably how you might see it in the passage. Plus, you're making sure that you understand it. So a lot of these words are probably not in the passage. That would be too easy if you're just matching words. So the examiners, the people who make the exam, they paraphrase. They use different words, descriptions, synonyms, antonyms, and different strategies to represent this information in different ways. So basically they're thinking, okay, can you read that, understand it, and recognize that this is what they're indicating. So the question itself is a test of English. So for instance, taking this collocation, false portrayal, right, obviously is an English collocation, and they're going to see if you can understand what false portrayal actually means. Okay. Who got 7? Oh, Angel. Okay, overall 7. And you had a little bit of a panic attack, Angel. Oh no. Angel, you should not have a panic attack. You have great English. I mean, even 7, it means that you have good English. And if you have good English when you're panicking, obviously you have very good English when you're not panicking. So you don't need to panic, Angel. Yeah, I would agree, Angel. Having you in my classes for a while now, I would definitely say that I think you're higher than a 7 on a good day, for sure. So I agree with you. I think that, you know, if you have the chance, just retake the exam and don't stress about it. Don't stress about it, okay? Nevertheless, though, Angel, 7, it's not bad at all, okay? All right. False portrayal. What's an easy way to paraphrase that? Anybody? Focus on the lesson as well. Okay. Keep it simple, right? Anna says it's the wrong portrayal of people in developing countries. Romelia says it's a made-up description. Romelia, just lowercase letters, especially in members chat classes. I'm going to catch what you're writing, okay? So made-up description. Students, when you use all uppercase letters, it means you're shouting, okay? So it literally means like you're yelling at me, Romelia, like made-up description. Carolina says it's a negative stereotype. That's a nice way. So negative stereotype. Very nice vocabulary, Carolina. Yeah, absolutely. A negative stereotype of people in developing nations, right? So that could be a way to paraphrase it. Another way we could paraphrase false portrayal is a misrepresentation. Nice long word, but very accurate for false portrayal. So misrepresentation. When you hear new words, students, write them down. Misrepresentation of individuals in countries with poor economies. Okay. So there are lots of ways, and for those students who have good vocabulary and have an upper intermediate level of English, so Angel, like you, if you're scoring, a band 7, even in panic mode on the IELTS exam, what you should be doing is when you're practicing these questions, not just for the IELTS, but for your English development, you should try to paraphrase in at least 2 ways, okay? And I know what you're thinking. Some of you are like, I'm happy if I can paraphrase it in 1 way. But you'll surprise yourself, okay? So for students that have a band 6.5 or higher level English before the exam, you should attempt to paraphrase listening. We'll have a listening class after this one. Listening and reading questions in 2 ways. And hey, if you really want to challenge yourself, try it in 3 different ways, right? There are lots of ways to paraphrase ideas in English. English has an extremely rich vocabulary, and it's growing every day. So, and if you're stuck, hey, ask Mother Google to help you. You'll be surprised. It will give you, or even Chat GPT. You can say, paraphrase this sentence in 4 different ways, and it will do it no problem. Anahita says, an inaccurate culture. Anahita, I would say an inaccurate depiction of culture in countries with low incomes, okay? So, again, lots of different ways to paraphrase, right? So good. Okay, let's take a look at some of the other questions here. So the unseen negative effects of donating food. I'm just going to kind of go through these nice and smooth and paraphrase. You can do the same. You can do it the way Anna did it, where you just put the number before it. So Anna says 15, the hidden negative impact of raising food. Raising is not a good word, Anna, but the rest of it's good. So you should say the hidden negative impact of giving food, not raising food, but giving food. So that's Anna here saying the hidden negative impact of giving food to people. Yeah. And I can see that you're doing mostly synonym paraphrasing, which is a good first step. Try to do descriptive, try to do expressive, so other types of paraphrasing as well. Okay, very nice. The unseen is invisible. Invisible consequence of gifting food. Okay, there's another way to say it. All right. Okay. The unethical nature of some research. The immoral foundation of experiments. Sure. Charity can increase poverty instead of increasing it. Okay, giving money can actually lead to more economic strife rather than prosperity. Okay, and finding cures does not earn money for companies. Okay, so discovering the fix for illnesses is non-profitable for business. Okay, so I'm just kind of going through these and saying them in different ways. Now, believe me when I say this, if there were other native English speakers sitting in my chair and I asked them to paraphrase these sentences, if they don't practice paraphrasing, it would also take them time. Okay, so many native speakers would have to sit there for a second and think, okay, what's another way to say that? The reason I can do it like this, well, obviously I have seen this passage before, but it's not just that, it's that I'm regularly practicing paraphrasing with students. So my brain is kind of wired to really quickly think of different ways to express these ideas. And believe it or not, you can do the same. So as long as you practice this daily, you will become very efficient at paraphrasing, and that will greatly improve your scores in the reading as well as improve your overall communication and language ability. Okay, so definitely do it. Definitely practice it regularly. And it might be a little bit monotonous, meaning kind of boring at first, but after a while it becomes fun. It becomes kind of a challenge. I wonder if there's an app out there that focuses on purely paraphrasing. If not, maybe I'll build one. That would be a great app for like a game that's based on paraphrasing. I guess crossword puzzles are a little bit of that, right? Where they give you the description and you have to figure out the words. So that's kind of a concept of paraphrasing, crossword puzzles. Everybody's familiar with that, right? Crossword puzzles. Probably a good idea to do some intermediate level crossword puzzles when you're getting ready for IELTS, because that's paraphrasing, right? Carolina says thumbs up. That's basically, crossword puzzles are descriptive paraphrasing, right? So they give you the description of the word and then you have to figure out what that word actually is as a single word. So it's descriptive paraphrasing. Sometimes you get synonyms, I think, as well. So synonyms, yeah, crossword puzzles, sure. Okay, so we have the next question here. Complete the sentences below. And this, again, is a good one to read before the passage. Some of you probably saw that in the course slide that I showed you. The 11 types of questions are divided into ones that you should read before the passage, ones that you can ignore. Questions that have information which is in the passage, for sure read before the passage. Information in questions or questions that have extra false information, don't worry about those before the passage. It's pointless to read those. Okay, so let's read these together. Here it's choose no more than 2 words from the passage for each answer. Write your answers in boxes 19 to 22. While charity is considered an intrinsic good by many people, others something its effectiveness. Now, here, this something in my head maybe is something like question its effectiveness, but I'm not going to allow my brain to really try to give this answer because it might be really different. So I don't want to lock my brain into one thought and then not give it the chance to understand a different idea that the author may be presenting. Okay? Did everybody get that? So for these types of questions, it's okay to try to think of what that answer could be, but you don't want to do it too much because then it might actually be a double-edged sword, right? It might actually have this negative where you're no longer open to the actual answer that's going to come from the passage. So think about the answer. Yes, sure, it's almost reflexive, but don't fixate. Okay? Everybody got that? Does everybody understand what I mean by that? So I'm going to write that down here for you as well. So for fill in the blanks, questions, it's okay to think of possible answers while you review them. This is basically reflexive. Okay, but do not fixate on the answer, as this may lead you to miss the real answer or the answer given by the author. Okay. All right, Anna's asking, what does intrinsic good mean? Okay, Anna, to understand that, it's a good question. Anna, to understand that, you need to understand the word intrinsic. Okay, intrinsic is almost the same. It's not quite the same. It's almost the same as innate. Okay, so intrinsic means it is a fundamental aspect. Okay, so it's found naturally or originally in that situation. Okay, all right. For humans, curiosity is intrinsic. We seem to be born with this. Innate actually means we're born with it. Okay, so humans have an innate ability to speak. Okay, water is intrinsic for the possibility of life. Okay, so when we think life, living, we think requires water in one form or another. So water is intrinsic to the possibility of life. Okay. Yeah, it's a little, I know, epsilonator, it's where dictionaries fail, right? Something by nature. It's like, what does it mean by nature? It basically means you're born with it. Okay, good. Okay, yeah, so Romelia, you could say logic is intrinsic to math. Especially to finite math. Okay, not all math. Irrational numbers, for example, logic is not intrinsic, right? Okay, good. So vocabulary, paying attention, that's great. Good question there, Anna. All right, let's review the rest of the questions and then let's get into the reading, right? Because we want to read and answer these questions, and I think a lot of people are excited about that. So let's do it. Okay, companies have a something to make products that are profitable. Companies have a motivation. I don't know, maybe, but I'm not going to fixate. Okay, 98.5% of money donated to curing breast cancer actually goes towards finding treatments which only something a patient's life but do not cure them. The author argues that the practice of spending money on extending sick people's lives is something because they should be finding a cure instead. Okay, and then food aid in Haiti. So obviously something in this passage will tell us about this specific situation of charity in Haiti. It's an example. Haiti is, of course, a nation, a location. Visualize it. A well-known example, and they help you even a bit more. They're like, this is an example. Visualize it. A well-known example of aid gone wrong is the donation of rice to the Caribbean nation of Haiti. The aid began at a time when Haiti was experiencing a food something, so the aid was well received. There were, however, unseen effects of this intervention. Rice became so prevalent that Haitians started eating it and something. This resulted in many Haitian farmers going something, which put even more people in poverty. Who has benefited by this practice? We must think something before giving to charity, because often we do not know the consequences of our actions. And then we have 8 choices, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. Now, do not ever try to put these words in here before you read. That is a huge mistake. Why do you think I say that? So, I mean, if you've completely run out of time and you didn't answer this question, then yeah, you can maybe try to guess your way through it. But it would be a really bad idea to try to stick these words in before you read the passage. Why do you think that? So, sorry, why do I say that? So why is it a bad idea? This is another kind of bad tip given to candidates is, even before you read the passage, try to see which words fit. There's a major problem with that. strategy. So you should never try to complete a summary type question with the given words before you read the passage. So we keep coming back to this idea that you have to read the passage. Why? So some viewers here are probably like, oh, why is he telling me all these points that Romelia says Cambridge is very skilled at tricking us. Yeah, the way I'm going to say this, Carolina, instead is Cambridge is very skilled at making sure that candidates cannot use invalid English ability. Okay, and now you're going, what is invalid? So by matching words and trying to stick them into spaces, that doesn't show that you actually have good English or English that's appropriate for work or for university, right? So they want to filter candidates who aren't ready yet with their English. So Cambridge is very skilled at making sure that candidates can not use invalid English ability to pass the exam. Okay. What do I mean by this? Often all of the answers will fit somewhere. Somewhere in the summary. Okay, and this is where students get really frustrated. They're like, oh, that word works, but wait a second, that one also works. And it makes sense. And oh, wait a second, that one also works. Have you noticed that? Have you noticed that with these types of questions where often all of the words that they give you, all 8 of them, can actually fit somewhere in that summary, but only 4 of them are correct according to the passage. Okay, so often all of the given answers will fit somewhere in the summary, but only half are actually correct or given. Sometimes they're even correct, they're just not given by the passage. So only half are actually correct or given by the passage. Okay, sometimes the word can be correct but not given by the passage. Okay, now that's tricky. Okay, so Romelia says it should fit grammatically, logically. Yes, Romelia, and according to the passage, right? So the choice or the choices should not only be logical and correct, but also given by the passage. All right, so when you're looking at the choices here, that's why I tell people don't even look at the choices, because you might look at one like shortage and it might fit somewhere, but it's not given by the passage, so it's not a correct answer. Anahita says, yes, I have experienced this situation. I'm sure you have. I see it almost in every single one of these types of questions. So again, it's another reason to read the passage, and that's what we're going to do right now. Let's read it together with the audio from the website. So again, we're just going to hop back to ahelp.com. For everybody joining in, this is our academic IELTS website here. This is where this material is coming from. Click this red button that's just behind me to join the premium version so that you can access all of these exams, including this one. And the audio for this exam, which is going to be CD6, it's exam 6, and it's going to be audio number 6 because it's passage 2. So here we go. Everybody, let's read this together, then we'll go through the passage with our viewers and the questions, and we'll look at some more strategies. So here we go, everyone.
Charity, always a positive good? Giving money to charity, whether it's cancer research, humanitarian aid, or something else, is accepted by the vast majority of people as an intrinsic good. Though we sometimes do cast a doubtful eye towards the practice of charity, that is to say, the proportion of donated funds that reach the intended source, the intended effects on the source are almost never doubted. People need help, and charity helps them. This is uncontroversial. Or is it? Some people argue giving to cancer charities does little more than line the pockets of pharmaceutical companies. Meanwhile, others argue that giving to humanitarian aid charities does not improve, but actually worsens the lives of those affected by the charity. The most well-funded cancer research, by far, is for breast cancer. There are innumerable charities associated with raising money for breast cancer research. But unfortunately, almost all of this money goes not towards finding a cure, but finding treatments that extend the patient's life. Because the monies raised by most charities end up in private research companies, these companies have a financial incentive to produce medications which are profitable. Unfortunately, for those among us who are suffering and will suffer from breast cancer and other cancers, finding a cure is simply not profitable. As it turns out, 97% of money that actually contributes to breast cancer research, that is, not counting a charity's operating costs, for example, is spent on treatments that merely extend the patient's life by a matter of weeks. Given that charity overhead is often 50% or more, the math works out like this. For every £100 given towards finding a cure for breast cancer, only £1.50 or 1.5% of that money goes to actually finding a cure for breast cancer. The actual number, depending on the particular charity, may be even less. Should research laboratories really be spending hundreds of millions of pounds on merely extending a sick person's life? Ethically, the answer is no. Instead, they should be spending that money on actually trying to find a cure, so that the sick person does not merely have 2 torturous weeks longer to endure, but decades of vibrant, healthy life ahead of them. Cancer research is one example of the fallibility of giving to charity. Giving to humanitarian aid charities is another. The Western world is showered with television adverts for humanitarian charities. These charities depict countries in Africa and Central America as completely destitute, full of abject poverty, and absolutely helpless without the help of the Western world. This depiction is not only grossly misleading, but also creates a dangerous perception of the Third World as utterly helpless and utterly dependent. This perception leads to the unquestioning acceptance of charities as a positive good, since they are helping what are perceived to be helpless people. But the truth is that people in the Third World are not helpless at all. However, treating them as helpless can, in fact, turn them into helpless people. One of the most famous examples of humanitarian aid gone wrong is the donation of rice to Haiti. It was meant, of course, as a positive good for the Haitian people. There was a food shortage, and the donated rice helped solve the problem. Actions, however, have effects, and sometimes these effects are unforeseen. Before the food shortage, Haitians ate rice on average of 1 time per week. Since the aid started, Haitians now eat rice for almost every meal, every day of the week. Because the rice is free, or available for nominally low prices from local vendors, the Haitian people consume it to the exclusion of almost all other foodstuffs. The effect of this is to not only bankrupt the rice farmers of Haiti, of which there were previously many, but also to bankrupt huge swaths of the local food industry. This is because, with free rice flooding the market, people are going to eat the rice and not spend money on other food items, which are much more expensive. This results in local farmers and producers not being able to make money, and thus they go out of business. This has the effect of turning the farmers into the very kind of needy people that the aid was supposed to help in the first place. The act of charity did not reduce poverty in the country. It actually increased it greatly. Breast cancer research and humanitarian aid are just 2 examples of charities gone wrong. However, The intent of this article is not to dissuade people from giving to charity. Conversely, the intent is to make people think more critically about where their charity monies go. Who is being benefited? Who is being harmed? What are the unforeseen consequences? Thinking critically about charity is the first step in truly helping those in need.
Painting the Sistine Chapel. The Sistine Chapel, named after...
All right, everybody. Make sure to use that audio in your My Student account when you're practicing for your IELTS exam. Now, of course, there's no audio for your reading in the real test, but this audio does come in very handy when you are preparing for your IELTS exam. It gives you an idea about the pacing, the speed. So if you're reading at this speed, it's definitely fast enough. Like this gentleman read this passage in just under 6 minutes, so 5 minutes and 57 seconds. And that means this person, if they spent, let's say, 30 seconds on thinking about the title, another 30 seconds on reading the questions, thinking about them, let's even say more than that, they would still have 12 minutes, almost 1 minute per question, okay? And that is plenty of time to solve the answers or give the answers without using incorrect strategies, like just trying to look for keywords, okay? All right, everybody, so I hope you were reading along. I hope you were using your nice loud voice. Let's do the rest of the class together now with the students. So I'm just going to start a Zoom session for us, and I'm going to share the link with you here. So here is the Zoom link. It's in the chat, everybody. Go ahead and join up, and then I'll get some volunteers to read paragraphs, look at the questions together. We'll talk a little bit about it, and then solve the answers to the questions together, okay? So we have Anna Karem, Somiparno joining, Priyanka, nice, okay. Just give me one moment and then I'll admit everybody. All right, now for those of you joining, feel free to volunteer for some reading. To do that, all you have to do is use the reaction function. That's this one here in your Zoom, and you can raise your hand. So when you have this open, then you have this raise hand function, and that means that you want to speak or you want to have a chance at this. Okay, so we've got some of our members volunteering, which is great. Anna, can you unmute yourself? Have a chance.
Yes, hello, Adrian.
Hi, Anna, how are you?
I'm pretty good. Like, my mother celebrates her birthday today.
Your mom's celebrating her birthday?
Yeah, today.
Well, happy birthday to Mama.
Yeah.
All right, it's a fun day. Just after Santa Claus visited, right?
Yeah, after the lesson, after reading lesson, I will celebrate this. I think I will miss listening class, but I'm with you in reading.
Oh, I won't hold it against you if you miss a class to celebrate Mom's birthday. You have to do that. That's top priority. All right. Anna, are you ready to read a little bit for us?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. So let me bring up the passage on YouTube here. Okay, so you should see the title in just a moment, and paragraph A, which of course is the introduction. Now again, it's really important, everybody, that when you're doing these passages, you overtly, so in your head, you clearly recognize that I'm reading the title and now I'm reading the introduction, not just any paragraph, but it's the introduction. Okay, Anna, go ahead when you're ready.
Charity, always a positive good. Giving money to charity, whether it is a cancer research, humanitarian aid, or something else, is accepted by the vast majority of people as an intrinsic good. Though we sometimes do cast a doubtful eye towards the practice of charity, is to say the proportion of donated funds that reach the intended source, the indeed effect on the source are almost never adopted. People need help, and charity helps them. This is controversial, or isn't it? Some people argue giving to cancer charities does little more than line the pockets of pharmaceutical companies. Meanwhile, others argue that giving a humanitarian aid charities doesn't improve, but actually worsens the lives of those affected by the charity.
Okay, good. Trick your vocabulary, right? And that, by the way, of course, the IELTS, as many people know, is designed that way, that passage 1 is the easiest, passage 2 is more difficult, passage 3 is more difficult, so vocabulary increases in difficulty. And this is the second passage, so it's more challenging than the first one, which was the tallest building one that we looked at a couple days ago. Okay, Anna, just repeat after me. Intrinsic.
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 Uncontroversial.
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 Good. All right. So one really good trick to increasing reading fluency is go through the paragraph, any word that caused problems for reading or comprehension, say them twice, find their definitions, and then read the paragraph again. It's heavy work, hard work, but it's a good way to improve. Okay, before we go further, Anna, what is the goal of the author with this introductory paragraph? What does the author seek to do?
The goal of this paragraph, like his opinion, he make adopt charity is good thing, helpful or not, and he gives his idea why it's not like why it could be not positive.
Absolutely. Yeah, so you have the right idea, Anna, and so what you want to do is you want to be concise. Now that you have the right idea, you want to say it in as simple a way as possible. Can you simplify what you just said?
Yeah, he argues on this idea, this like charity stereotype for helping people, and he argues on this why.
Perfect. So that's it. So keep it short. Yeah, so he presents the argument about the intrinsic good of charities, right? That's basically what he does. Good. Okay, Anna, thank you for being the first to read. Did you have any questions about the reading section, Anna?
No, I haven't, and it's very good tip to read in the summary completion when we have choices text before, because it's the hardest part for me, summary completion with this option A, B, C, or D, and filling in blank in summary completion is easier than this part with choices, and it's really good tip that you gave today in the class to read text, and I will try this to do.
Yeah, I think so. There is a hidden message here, Anna, and I'll tell you what it is. And it's especially tricky for those students who are doing the IELTS from high school, because of course there's a lot of different, groups of people that do IELTS, right? Some people are doing their masters, some people are going in for their bachelor's, some people are doing it for immigration, etc., right? And especially for students who are kind of coming out of high school and then, wanting to go to university. Why do I say that? And this connects to what you just said. Because in high school tests, maybe grade 12, it starts to change, but in primary school, middle school, and certainly even grade 10, 11, the way that the tests are designed is you have correct answers and you have wrong answers. Would you agree with me on that, Anna?
Yes, and also it's difficult because mostly it's immature teenagers, and academic text has lots of C2 words, and for teenagers it's hard to cope with all this vocabulary for academic style.
Yeah,
I
so
think it's challenging.
I agree with you. So experience is a challenge, right? Not just not having that much information, right? So not having that much exposure to real world information. Like many people who are into their adulthood have seen charities, have heard about these kinds of situations like Haiti. For a lot of young adults or high school teenagers, they haven't really heard too much about these or paid attention too much to these. But going back to the test itself, so in high school, the tests have right and wrong answers, and IELTS is not a high school type test. It's more of like a college or university type test where you have multiple correct answers and you have to choose the best answers or the answers that are given by the exam, not necessarily the correct answer. And when a person doesn't have experience with that, it's really easy for them to fall into these traps because they're like, oh, that's the answer, I'll just choose it and move on. And they think, oh, I did great because I did, I knew all the answers. And then suddenly they get their IELTS score and their reading is like a 5. And they're like, but I'm sure I gave the correct answers. The irony is that probably they did. They probably did give a lot of correct answers, but they weren't the answers that were expected by the exam or according to the instructions of the test. And for those people who have done college or university, they know that because they know, oh yeah, a lot of those multiple choice, fill in the blanks and other types.
Instructions.
Yeah, and the professors or people are looking for the best answers or the answers according to their perspective. Did you pay attention in the lecture where the professor said, many scientists believe this, but according to my research, this is the truth. And if somebody didn't pay attention, they're going to get that wrong in the class, right, Anna? So IELTS is that kind of a test. It's kind of transitioning to that university test, and you have to be really, really careful about it. So that's another reason.
Yeah, it's proficiency test, which tests our level of English, how we understand native speakers. It's not test your level. We have some tests for B2 level, like Cambridge exam for each level. It tests you from C2 to maximum you can score in C2 and lower. But for Cambridge exam, you can score for B1, B2, etc. But IELTS tested your all range of these levels from A1 to C2. Yeah.
Absolutely. And interestingly, this is actually what makes IELTS the most popular test in the world. So English proficiency exams, English has been kind of the world language now for about half a century, 50 years or so. It has started, emerged as a dominant language. So the world has seen quite a few English language exams, and we still see them today. Definitely IELTS seems to have positioned itself as the dominant proficiency exam and the academic and the general version. And there's a good reason for that. The reason is that schools know that when a candidate gets 7.5 or higher, then they don't just speak English, but they have a certain way of thinking that works for schools or for the workplace, right? So that's also intrinsic to the IELTS exam, to use that word intrinsic. It's intrinsic to the IELTS exam. Okay, Anna, thank you so much for volunteering. Have a great birthday party with Mom.
Thank you so much. Yeah, okay, thank you.
All right, bye, Anna. Okay, that was Anna, and she shared her camera too, which was really cool. Okay, let's see who else is volunteering. Romelia, another one of our longtime members. Romelia, do you want to unmute yourself?
Hello.
How are you, Romelia?
Not bad, thank you. What about you?
I am doing good. I was going through a flu here, and I'm starting to be quite a bit better, so I'm happy about that, for sure.
Okay.
All right, Romelia, any birthday parties to celebrate?
To celebrate what?
Birthday parties like Anna's mom's?
No, not exactly.
No, only Christmas, right? Just Christmas coming up.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have your tree up? Do you have a tree in your home?
Not yet, but...
But you're thinking about it.
No. It's just...
All right. Romelia, let's do some reading. Are you ready?
Of course. I mean, I'm never ready, but I have a go.
Never but always, right? Never but always. All right. Romelia, from paragraph B, go for it.
Okay. The most well-funded cancer research by far is for breast cancer. There are innumerable charities associated with raising money for breast cancer research. But unfortunately, almost all of this money goes not towards finding a cure, but finding treatment that extend a patient's life. Because the money raised by the most charities end up in private research companies. That companies have a financial incentive to produce medication which are profitable. Unfortunately for those among us who are suffering and will suffer from breast cancer and other cancers, finding a cure is simply not profitable. As it turns out, 97% of money that actually contribute to breast cancer research that is not counting the charity's operating costs, for example, is spent on treatment that merely extend a patient's life by a matter of weeks. Given that charity my writing going up and down. Contribution is spent on treatments that mainly is on the personal. Given the charity overhead is often 40% or more, the math works out like this. For every 100 pounds given towards finding a cure for breast cancer, only 1 pound and 50 or 1.5% of the money goes to actually finding a cure for breast cancer. The actual number, depending on the particular charity, may be even less. Should the laboratory really be spending hundreds of millions of pounds on already spending this person's life? Basically, the answer is no. Instead, they should be spending that money on actually trying to find a cure. So that the sick person does not merely have to search or fake language endure, but a kind of vibrant, healthy life ahead of them.
Okay, great. Nice, fast reading, Romelia. All right, so listen up, everybody. When you're doing your reading practice, especially if you're in an IELTS class like this one here, or if you're studying with a study partner, a really, really good exercise to improve your coherence, comprehension, and your English ability is read the paragraph and then ask each other questions. So don't just focus on, I think one habit a lot of people get into is they just focus on the questions that are in the passage test. So the 12 or 13 or 14 questions. And they don't actually think about the passage independently, so without that. And it is actually really good practice to do that. So to see, how well do we understand what we're reading beyond just what the IELTS is asking us. So here, Romelia, I'm going to ask you a couple questions, and I encourage you to ask me a couple questions too. So I'm going to start with this question, Romelia. Why does the author use the example of breast cancer here? What's the main reason that the author is introducing breast cancer in this paragraph B?
To demonstrate something, to be more specific, to my mind, that the purpose in itself is wrong, because they try to use the amount in the wrong way. Instead of trying to find a cure, to direct money to something even worse that actually makes difficult the life of the patient.
Okay.
And this is not effective.
Okay, so again, it's a good approach, Romelia. You have some good ideas. The same as I said to Anna, and this is extremely important, everybody, to practice before your test. Be concise. So say it in a one clear sentence answer. Okay. So Romelia, I think you have a good idea there. Please rephrase it for me. So it's just one simple sentence. So why does the author introduce the concept of breast cancer here?
To give an example of how the funds are misdirected in the wrong.
Great. Okay. So you said to give an example of how charity funds are misused. Okay. Now we can refine that, right? So the answer that you said is to give an example of how funds are misdirected. I say misused is a little bit better there. So fine, now we want to improve on that, right? I would say to give an example of the unethical use of donations for profit. Would you agree that that's a more precise?
Yeah, with that part where they say, mention the incentive. It's an incentive for the company to make even more money.
Exactly.
So for them, this is a money spinner to use.
So the more precise you can be with that concise answer. So once you have that concise answer, the more precise you can be, the better it's going to be. And of course, this will lead to the answers to those questions as well. Now, let me ask you one more question using this paragraph, Romelia.
Okay, so the ulterior motive of the company to...
Yeah. And why, so Romelia, why breast cancer? Why not arthritis? Why not heart disease, diabetes? So why did the author choose breast cancer instead of another type of charitable donation?
In my opinion, because it's the most sensitive subject and well-known type of cancer nowadays, breast cancer.
Yes. Now, when we're asking and answering these questions in this kind of a practice session, Romelia, it's okay to think of our own opinion, but we should be focusing on the author here. So the author's reason for it. And the author does express this. So the author does give us this answer of why breast cancer and why not another type of sickness or situation.
Because probably there is much research done on this type of cancer and can provide it.
Because, so it's in here, and I'm going to show you where the answer is. The answer is because more money is donated to breast cancer research than any other. They express this in the paragraph, than any other illness, right? So there is a hidden reason. The hidden reason is that we're all very familiar with it. Unfortunately, a lot of women are affected by this. So almost every human has somebody in their experience who has had this or has this. So we have very strong empathy, right? Good authors, they always create empathy with their readers. That's what we need to do in our task 2 writing. And so that's what the author does here, is they create that empathy with the reader. And they express that beyond this, of course, somewhat related to this, it receives more money than any other charity, right? So more money is donated to breast cancer than any other charity. So it's a very prudent example. It's a very real example of how money is misused, right? Okay. And so you can see that in the paragraph, right? It says the most well-funded cancer research by far is breast cancer, right? So it's in that first paragraph. So he's telling us right away, this is why I'm giving you this example, because we're talking billions of dollars here.
Exactly.
Okay. Romelia, ask me a question from this paragraph. So generate a question, any question.
Why do you think the author cast doubt on how ethical is the way of using money?
Okay, can you say it one more time fluently for me?
Yeah.
Ask me one more time, Romelia, just nice and fluently.
Yeah. Why do you think the author cast doubt on how ethical is the way charity uses money?
So why do I think that the author focuses on the ethical use of charity money?
Yeah. Why he cast doubt on this?
Because I think the author believes that the readers intrinsically feel that donations are used ethically when they're giving money. Are we on the same page?
Also, you're saying the public is misled.
See, so here, Romelia, this is why we want to do this exercise, because this is testing our communication, right, based on information. So how well do we understand each other? Now, I do have to admit, I don't clearly hear all of your words. It's I'm not sure if it's your microphone, but it's a little bit tricky for me to catch some of those words. It sounds like there's a bit of distortion when you're speaking. But nonetheless, when we're in the same room or we hear each other clearly, this is where we want to stop for a second and make sure that we're understanding each other. If we're not, what we want to do here, Romelia, when we're looking at a reading passage is just simplify it. So ask me another question, but just ask me a simpler question. Just start with an easy one.
Another question.
Ask me a simple question. Keep it simple.
Do I have to trust charity according to this passage?
According to this paragraph. No. So this paragraph definitely suggests the reader to question the charity and the charity's trustworthiness before giving money. So no, definitely don't just simply trust a charity because they say they're doing good. Okay. All right. You could ask me a question like this, for instance, Carolina. If I give £100 for breast cancer research, on average, how much of that £100 will go to overhead cost? According to this paragraph.
So if you give how much?
If I give £100, $100 to breast cancer research, according to this paragraph, how much of that money will go to overhead costs, to operating costs? On average.
$15.
50.
1.5%.
No,
yeah.
It's not 1.5%, it's 50%. So see here, given that charity overhead is often 50% or more. So the correct answer here is at least £50.
Oh.
At least £50.
Yeah.
I asked you if I give $100, how much will go to overhead costs, right?
Overhead, yeah.
The correct answer there is at least £50 or more.
Yeah.
Okay? All right. So
I haven't paid attention.
Romelia, it's not just you. This is very common, okay? And you can see your classmates made the same mistake. That's why I almost said Carolina there, because Carolina said 150 and Fong said 1.5%. Redexar was the only one that had the correct answer there. Fong even had like a little pink pudding, we'll call it there. You can see how challenging. So it's not just you, Romelia. It's most students. The first time I do this exercise with them, they have real difficulty with it, and you can see why you'd want to do this. So it's great exercise. Sit down with a partner, read a passage, and just talk about the passage. Ask each other questions. See how much you can understand back and forth, right? So it's really, really good exercise, and I appreciate you, Romelia, for giving this opportunity to show this exercise to all of our viewers. Okay?
I was terrible.
For first time, you were just fine. Okay, so not a big deal. Romelia, so practice this. Okay, practice this with your classmates. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Romelia, for volunteering.
Thank you.
Have
Bye.
a lovely rest of your day.
Bye. You too.
Bye, Romelia. Okay, so let's give Romelia a thumbs up. I mean, I challenged her there, right? Because it's like, well, what? These questions aren't in the exam, but they could be, right? So there was a question there by, I think, Anahita. I thought that cure and treatment means the same. No, they don't. That's a good question, Anahita. Usually no two words have the exact same meaning. Some are very, very close. Some have, in some cases, the same, but often there are slight differences. And in this case, there's a very important difference. So treatment and cure. Okay, cure means to solve and remove the illness. Okay, treatment means to handle the illness and minimize the symptoms with the potential of a cure. Okay, is that clear? So cold medication is usually cure or treatment. So when you take a I'm speaking from experience because, as I mentioned, and some of you know, I'm kind of getting over this flu or this cold right now, and before these classes I actually take a Tylenol, cold and flu, so that I'm not coughing during the lesson. So cold medication is usually a cure or a treatment. What do you think? So cold medication is usually a cure or a treatment. Very nice. So Carolina says it's a treatment. Yeah, exactly. In most cases. If it contains acetaminophen, then it can also be a cure. But in most cases, it's just a treatment. Yeah. So when you take cold medication, generally it doesn't actually help to cure you. Okay. So taking vitamin D and C during a cold is a cure or treatment. What do you think? So when you take your vitamin D, vitamin C during a cold, is that a cure or a treatment? Fong says, bless you, sir. Fong says that's a cure. Romelia says it's palliative. Yes, Romelia, you're right. But I don't want to get that technical. So it's kind of a cure, okay? Because it strengthens your immune system. And that's why Romelia says it's palliative. But yes, the idea is that it's more of a cure. So it strengthens your immune system to eliminate the illness, okay? All right, let's have another volunteer here. We have Khan. Khan, can you unmute yourself?
Hello, Adrian.
Hi, Khan, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am also doing good, Khan. Ready to read a little bit?
Yes, of course.
All right, sure. So you'll see paragraph C come up on the screen here in just a moment. If you could read that one for me, okay?
Okay. Cancer research is one example of the ability of giving to charity. Giving to humanitarian charities is another. The Western world is showered with television adverts for humanitarian charities. Charities in big countries in Africa and Central America are completely skewed full of abject poverty and absolutely helpless with the Western world. This fiction is not only grossly misleading, but also creates a dangerous perception of the third world as utterly hopeless and utterly dependent. This perception unquestioning acceptance of charities as a positive good, since they are helping what are perceived to be helpless people. But the truth is that people in the third world are not helpless at all. However, them can, as helpless can, in fact, turning them into helpless people.
Okay, Khan. What's the main point of this paragraph?
I think The main point of this paragraph is to... I'm not really sure, but...
Is that, just repeat after me, is that charities can be counterintuitive.
Is that charity could be counterintuitive.
What does it mean, counterintuitive?
I don't know. I don't understand the word.
Okay, it's a very good answer sometimes. Counterintuitive means opposite to what you think. So we think charities help poor people, right? So it helps poor people to not be poor. That's what we think when we give money to charity, right?
Yeah.
But this paragraph is saying, no, it's the opposite. You can actually make people poor by giving to a charity. So that's what we mean by counterintuitive. It's opposite of what our logic or what our thinking is telling us, right? So the main point of this paragraph is that charities can be counterintuitive and make people poor instead of helping, right? That's basically what it's saying. All right, Con, you know what? Let's do a couple questions together. So we're slowly but surely kind of running out of time in the class, and let's get into some questions here. You should see number 14 coming up on the screen here. Can you read the question, not the paraphrase, but just the question?
A false portrayal of people in third world countries.
Okay, which paragraph is that from?
It is from the... I don't remember the paragraphs.
Con!
I think it's C. I don't know.
It is. It's the one you just read. Absolutely.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like the name. Like.
But you got it. That was C. Yeah, that was C. So you just... I see what you're saying. That was C that you just read. Yeah, absolutely. What is the false portrayal? So what does it say in that paragraph? It's the one you just read. So what did it say? What's the false portrayal that it's talking about here in third world countries?
It is that they think that charities help people to become less helpless.
No. So the false portrayal here is the stereotype, right? As Carolina says, it's the negative stereotype. So what is the stereotype of people in third world countries? So what is that typical stereotype of people in Africa or people in some parts of Central America?
I'm not really sure.
Okay, this is where you'd want to go back, and when you're practicing, you'd want to check this, right? So, so it says these countries depict, these charities depict countries in Africa and Central America as completely destitute, full of abject poverty, and absolutely helpless without the help of the Western world. So that's the false portrayal, right? I'm not sure if in your part of the world they show these kinds of advertisements on TV, but it's like showing like these neighborhoods or these villages where people are just like sick and dying and they don't have any food, and they're like, you have to give us money so we can help these people. Have you ever seen this kind of advertising?
I haven't.
Okay, you definitely see it in some countries in Europe and in North America for sure. So that's what the author's saying here, is this is the false picture or the false portrayal of these countries. Okay, all right, so that's where it matches with that one. Let's try one more. Number 15, read that one for me.
Wait, the stream is kind of slow.
It's okay, it'll catch up. It's about a 6-second delay.
The unseen negative effects of donating food.
Which paragraph is that one? And everybody who's watching, members in the chat, you can help Con here.
I think it's paragraph D.
Yeah, it is. It's paragraph D, absolutely. What does that paragraph talk about? Do you remember from the first reading?
I don't remember it. It's quite long now. It's quite rumbled here.
It talks about donating rice to Haitians, to people in Haiti, in the Caribbean, right? So, and it's and there was a negative effect. Do you remember that paragraph now with the Haitians, the giving of the rice?
I think that I have to read it again, like, to remember, because my memory is not really that good.
Okay, so Khan, what you want to do in this case, right, is visualize. So when you're reading paragraph D, which is about this specific situation of giving rice to the people in Haiti, you want to imagine it. So you want to imagine that you're in Haiti, you're a rice farmer, you sell your rice at the local market, and suddenly nobody's buying your rice. Why is nobody buying your rice? Because they're getting it for free. Why are they getting it for free? Because all these countries, all these countries are taking bags and bags of rice to people and giving it to them for free. So of course they're not going to buy your rice from the market, right? So if you picture that, then it'll be easier. And now you're out of a job, right? Now you don't have a job, and now you need to go get that free rice because you don't have any money to buy other food. So that's the negative effects of donating food. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. So Khan, I think your English is it's good. It's solid. It's an intermediate level, and it should be good enough to answer some of these questions without having to read 2 times. Okay, so what you want to do, Khan, is just a little bit better strategy on visualizing what you read. So put yourself into these situations. So put yourself in the situation of cancer research. Imagine that you're a scientist working in a research laboratory, and you're getting paid lots of money, and you're like, okay, I'm going to find a cure. And your boss is like, no, Khan, you're not going to find a cure. You're going to find a treatment. And you're like, why? And then he's like, because we would need to make money. And you're like, oh, that's terrible. I'm going to move to Haiti and I'm going to become a rice farmer. And so you move to Haiti and you leave your research job and you become a rice farmer. And suddenly you can't sell your rice. Why? Because that rich company, because that rich company is giving free rice to the people in Haiti, right? So put yourself in the situation, engage the information. Okay, Khan?
Yeah.
All right. Khan, thank you for volunteering, and hang in there. We're going to try to answer a couple more questions, okay?
Okay.
All right. Okay, Khan, thanks for volunteering. We'll talk soon. Let's give Khan a thumbs up. That was really good. I mean, these are challenging questions, and the reading is difficult. You've got all those thumbs up there. The important message there, everybody, is visualize. So picture what's going on, okay? All right. We're slowly but surely running out of time. I'll do one question out of each of these sets first, and let's do these ones together, okay? So let's take a look at question 19 and try to answer it. Number 19, let's read this together. While charity is considered an intrinsic good by many people, others something its effectiveness. What do you think is the best answer here for number 19? And the other question I have is, where does the answer come from? So Anna says the answer is argue. Okay, I think that's a good word to think about. Epsilinator says, I think the answer is doubt. Okay. The word that comes to my mind is question. It's effectiveness, right? And Epsilinator says, this is coming from paragraph A, the introduction. Okay, so how do I get the right answer? How do I figure out if it's argue, doubt, or question? First of all, I need to recognize that this comes from paragraph A. Okay, once I realize that, then I look for this concept, effectiveness. Okay. And then I check to see if the examiner is using, the author is using the word argue, doubt, or question. Okay. If I don't know which paragraph it's coming from, I'm going to be in trouble, right? So I need to know it's coming from A. And then I look for that concept of effectiveness. Now, if I'm just looking for the word effectiveness, I might not find it. I'm kind of skimming for it. I don't see it. So I'm going to go over giving money to charity, whether it's cancer research, humanitarian aid, or something else, is accepted by the vast majority of people as an intrinsic good. Though sometimes we do cast a doubtful eye towards the practice of charity. That is to say, the proportion of donated funds that reach the intended source, the intended effects on the source are almost never doubted. People may need help and charities help them. This is uncontroversial. Or is it? Some people argue giving to cancer charities does little more than line the pockets of pharmaceutical companies. Meanwhile, others argue that giving to humanitarian aid charities does not improve but actually worsens the lives of those affected by people. So is the word doubt used for the effectiveness, or is the word argue used for effectiveness? The word argue is used for its effectiveness because the example, so it's descriptive paraphrasing, and the word argue is used. It's not doubtful. Doubtful eye towards the practice of charity is not necessarily the effectiveness of charity. So the best word, and it's a tricky one, in this paragraph is certainly argue. Okay? Does not improve, but actually worsens is the paraphrase for effectiveness. So argue is the word that's clearly given for the answer here. Okay, everybody, does that make sense? So the best answer here is definitely argue. If you put doubt, you'll probably get it wrong. Okay. All right. Students, here's this one for food aid in Haiti, and I think you'll be able to figure this one out now, especially since we've talked about that paragraph about Haiti. So I'm going to leave this one purely for you to do, okay? But again, as usual, you can send me your answers, and I will give you the answer key. So I will give you the correct answers. Just send the answers to my email, okay? Adrian@aehelp.com or admin@aehelp.com, and I will give you the answer key, and you can see why you might have gotten those questions correct or wrong. Students, for a detailed description of this exam and this reading, as well as all of the other materials, visit our websites, aehelp.com for academic IELTS and gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. Click on the big red buttons that you find on the home page, or the home pages. It is a one-time payment for lifetime access, and you can also get these through YouTube, through Shopify. So if you click on shopping on the channel, go through Shopify, you can also get access that way. Just make sure to send an email so we can activate your accounts. Okay, for the general IELTS, it's gieltshelp.com. We will be using these websites in the next class as well, which will be listening, and that class is a subscribers chat class. So you have to subscribe to the channel to join that chat, which is free. Okay. We're going to have a 30-minute break, so half an hour break, and then I'll be back. aehelp.com, gieltshelp.com. Check it out in that half hour. If you like what you see, sign up. If you don't. Up to you. And I will be back shortly to go over the listening tests and give you some strategies and tips on how to improve for the IELTS listening section. Thank you so much, members. Thank you for volunteering. And I will be back shortly. Have a nice little break, and I look forward to seeing you in half an hour. I'm Adrian. I'm signing out from Victoria, British Columbia, Canada for now. Bye, everybody.